No objection.
Okay. Defendant's 113 is received.
These records indicate that your dad had difficulty. The patient mentioned difficulty with anger management. Did you ever know your dad to have an anger management problem prior to the ski collision?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what page is that?
113F.
What VA page is it?
Thank you. 1134. Second paragraph. So my question again, did you ever know your dad to have difficulty with anger?
I'm sorry, just a second, Your Honor. I'm on 113. I don't see anything here.
Why don't you show counsel?
113.
I gave them a hard copy too. Okay.
Are you good to go, Mr. Sykes?
Where is it? Where is it on here? Okay, thank you, Judge.
Did you ever know your dad to have an anger management problem?
I never knew my dad to have an anger management problem.
Okay. If it's in his medical records prior to the ski collision, I take it you don't dispute that.
They're his medical records, yeah.
He struggles with self-disclosure that is self-focused rather than other-focused. Did you see that in your dad pre-ski collision? He's focused on himself rather than others?
I think he does have that tendency, or he did prior to the accident. It's after the accident, it's been magnified for sure.
Okay, so the answer is yes.
Yes, and more so after the accident.
The focus of this session was to help him identify his responses and the associated feelings and communicate those in less blaming ways. Did you know him to blame others frequently pre-ski collision?
No, I think it's just great that he was trying to get tools. Yeah.
Well, he's getting tools because he has a problem with communicating with others that doesn't blame them. Did you observe that prior to the ski collision?
I don't think any humans are perfect, and he's acknowledging these are things I'm working on. That's how I understand that.
Okay, so I am trying to phrase these in yes or no, but I'm not going to cut you off. So I'm going to ask it again, though. Prior to the ski collision, did you observe that your dad had problems communicating with others because he would blame them? Yes or no?
No, I did not observe him blaming others. Yes. Yeah. I'll go with no.
Did you observe, now in 113H, that his interaction style and way of dealing with people often got him in trouble?
Pre-accident?
Pre-accident.
No.
And he would like to gain greater insight into his interpersonal difficulties. Did you observe your dad pre-accident to have some interpersonal difficulties?
Yes, I think something he worked on.
But most people don't go 13 years without talking to your sibling, right? That's more than just most people.
I believe that to be true in my experience.
So we're talking. It's true everyone has interpersonal communication difficulties, but not everyone goes to their therapist for it. Do you agree?
I agree, but the smart ones do.
Patient had a number of recent stressors which he appeared to minimize. Okay, did you ever know your dad to minimize other stressors and focus on something sort of obsessively?
Not pre-accident, post-accident, yes.
Okay, how about that he would hyper-focus on a problem without dealing with broader issues that were affecting that?
I would say he does have a tendency to hyperfocus.
And that was pre-collision, right?
Yes, way more so after the accident.
Did his eyesight problem, hearing problem, heart issues, prostate cancer, did those somewhat narrow his abilities, his activity level?
I really didn't see that change or modify a lot. I think not till after the accident.
How about at all? Just like the 5 years before the accident? Any reduction in activities at all?
Right. I think I would see my dad, make some adjustments. Like he would learn because he's not reckless. So
Is that a yes or no? Reduction in activity level prior to the ski collision.
yes, very, very minimal.
And one of the things he told his doctor 3 weeks before the ski collision was he was not able to do the things he had been able to do. Does that surprise you?
Very much so.
Okay. You don't dispute the medical record 3 weeks before the ski collision, do you?
I would have a hard time disputing his records.
Migraines. He would have migraines pre ski collision, right?
Occasionally.
And they were debilitating when he got them. True?
Correct.
And he would actually have vision problem associated with his migraines. When he had migraines, he actually had even less vision. Do you agree?
I know he would typically look for a dark place, to just recover from that.
So your answer?
He was sensitive to light, and that would be visual.
Okay. Now let's talk about his back and spine problems pre-collision. He had a foot drop, didn't he? He walked differently pre-collision?
I wasn't aware of a foot drop or a different walk.
Do you know what a foot drop is?
Vaguely.
So you have to more drag one of your feet. Is that fair?
Okay. I didn't notice that in my dad.
You never knew of one?
No.
Okay. How about weakness or pain of loss of sensation?
Not aware of that.
How about he did have spine surgery? Do you agree?
I think he had, was it a compressed disc or something?
Right. That's not small-time medicine, right? Spine surgery is a big deal.
I would say yes.
Knee injury. Oddly, is this true? Before the ski collision, he actually injured his knee skiing. Does this sound familiar?
I vaguely remember meniscus, maybe.
Skiing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
There's inherent risks in skiing, knees being one of them.
So the answer?
Yes.
Did that require surgery? Do you recall?
I don't believe it did.
Shoulder problems. Do you recall having pre-ski collision shoulder problems?
I think he did have a shoulder issue.
And what do you recall about it?
Not very much.
Hamstring injury, a torn hamstring. Do you recall this pre-injury?
I do not.
Osteoarthritis. Are you familiar with that term?
Yes, I know what that is.
And were you aware your father had osteoarthritis prior to the ski
No.
injury? Trigger finger. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do know that his thumb. He had issues with his thumb.
By the way, do you recall one of the reasons he has hearing problems is from shooting a lot of guns without ear protection?
In the military.
Have you heard this before, or am I the first to tell you?
Could have also been concerts, but I do know that he was in the military, so possibly.
All right. When he was young, he was a rocker. Is that fair?
If rocker, you mean like the Kingston Trio? Yeah, he was a rocker.
I think he told me he was a rocker in his youth. Do you know anything about that?
Well, he's in college like in the 68, so we're talking
All right.
Peter, Paul, and Mary, Kingston Trio. Real rocker.
Still good music.
Yeah.
All right. Insomnia. Did you know him to have sleeping problems prior to the ski collision?
I knew that sleep was kind of a challenge for him. That's something that he shares with my older sister, Shay. And so they would talk about different techniques for getting a good night's sleep.
So did he have insomnia issues pre-collision?
I don't know if I would call it insomnia. You want to read me a definition for insomnia?
Sure. Taking a medication for it.
Oh,
Did you know that one of the medications he took, like a lorazepam or Ativan or trazodone, I think he took all three of those at one time. Not at one time. I apologized, throughout the years before. So that's how I would define it, requiring prescription medication.
okay. So I would defer to my dad's medical record.
All right. Respiratory problems, were you aware your dad had respiratory problems pre-collision?
I knew that he kept an inhaler, that he'd had had pneumonia at some point, and so we felt like, I don't ever see him using the inhaler,
Okay.
but I knew he had one.
Your Honor, I object doing this, going through the medical history of a 60-year-old person now for...
What's 5 minutes? It's irrelevant. And there has to be some end to this.
Okay.
We only have
4
more days.
Yeah, overruled.
All right.
Each side's getting half time, so it's not affecting your time, Mr. Sykes.
Lower urinary tract issues. Perhaps those are prostate related. Do you know of anything about
Not aware
that?
of any of those.
Kidney problems. Do you recall he had some kidney problems pre-collision?
I do not recall that.
Like that he had chronic renal insufficiency? You've never heard that before?
No.
Cholesterol medication, what'd you tell me? You knew he was on a med for that, or you did not?
I didn't know he was on a medication for that, but that's pretty common for that age group, right?
And restless legs, were you familiar that he had that? That was a condition?
I think I was aware of that.
Did you and your sisters joke that like he's actually thinning the sheets because he kicks a lot?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
All right.
Counsel, you approach.
Yes?